How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another Galaxy of Heroes tier list. Today I'm going to be going over the best characters of 2023 that came out in 2023. Now, I mean, I say best, but I am looking at all of them and ranking them from top to bottom, S tier down to D tier. I'll just tell you right now, I don't have any F tier. This ranking is in relation to each other. So, like, some might be on a general overall tier list of the game, might be a higher tier than they are in this ranking. And for this, we got marquees, we got legendaries, we got conquest characters, we got everything, and also ships, which I'll be showing on the right side. And even the best is on the left. So, like, the top left is the highest ranking, even though ships are all on the right side. To the left is best for ships. I'm going to be going over them in the order that they were released. So let's get into it. And to start, we're actually going to slide the calendar a little bit for Riva. She is high S tier, of course, because she was slotted into the game in the end of 2022, but wasn't playable until 2023. And we don't have a set release date for her, so I'm just going to put her first. Top of S tier, I mean, routinely, I put her as the #1 character in my best non-galactic legends list. So it's only natural that I put her up here. She's amazing. There are so many just datacron, like, people say, oh, you don't want to talk about datacrons. I'm not talking about datacrons like specifics, but her tags are so diverse. Empire, Inquisitorius, Unallied Force User. There's usually something that just affects the team really strongly. Right now it's Doubtcrons, but it's been all over the place. Can take on tons of GLs. Has very few weaknesses on defense, and doesn't take much to poke holes in them. So super amazing character for a great team now, Riva. Next up, the first marquee of last year, we had Zori Bliss, and she is high A tier. I think there are some weaknesses to her. I mean, for me as an endgame player, I don't find much use out of her in TW. I don't see what I can beat with her. On defense, she's decent. But in Grand Arena, amazing. I hear she's great in Proving Grounds. Just a really strong character that really supercharged a bunch of random leftover resistance characters that everyone had, only for Galactic Legend Ray. Plenty of people are using her now because they bought Lightspeed bundles and they have the whole supporting cast. So she is definitely an awesome character. High A tier for Zori. Next, at the very beginning of the year, we also had a conquest unit get unlocked, and that is Scythe. I am a huge fan of Scythe. It's very unfortunate that it takes so long to get because it itself is a conquest character, and then it requires a legendary unlock that itself requires 5 relics. But it's just a game changer across the board. This is a funny instance of Capital Games trying to pigeonhole a ship into one role, and it gets completely erased, used somewhere else. They thought it was going to go with Executrix, gave it 2 summoning TIE fighters, but in some ways that's a weakness. You can't bring it in a reinforcement. So I run it most of the time with Chimera. I did run it with Executrix to beat Profundity back in the day. Just really strong. I mean, it helps Chimera and Executrix both beat just top tier ships. And Chimera for Executor and Leviathan, and then with Executrix you can beat Profundity. So it is just a super high tier ship, and it really says something that we have other ships above it in the S tier. Speaking of which, we have TIE Defender. This was the first Galactic Chase release, Marquee type ship. They just get straight away. I did a ship ranking a while ago, and I put this as the best ship in the game. I think I'd still probably stick by that. It's just insane. The damage it does, the dodging, the turn meter. Combined with Scythe, it is taunting all the time. It is just a crazy ship. I was even able to beat the borderline impossible Geonosis territory battle mission. Not GOTB, but like Rise of the Empire TB on Geonosis. That mission, just because there's so many dodges and 60% turn meter for a capital ship if it's Empire, it's just ridiculous. Irresistible stun, turn meter removal, single-handedly help me survive for months without a 7-star Leviathan in Fleet Arena. So yeah, awesome ship. Moving back to characters, we have Tusken Chieftain. This was announced early in 2023 and was the start of the Tusken faction not being a complete joke. It is Tusken Chieftain leads a team that is only really amazing on defense when it has a Datacron, so I can't put it too high. But even without a specialized Datacron for this team, they are still really good on offense against turn meter driven teams, and they just melt them. It's ridiculous. Back in the middle of last year, they were They had applicability for raids, but so sadly that is no longer the case for them, so they lose a little bit of viability there as well. But Chieftain's still pretty solid, so low mid B tier. And following Chieftain, of course, we had Warrior. I put Warrior in the tier below Chieftain, just because Chieftain is really what makes the team work. Warrior has great damage, but really unless there's a Datacron, it's not the thing really driving the team, although Warrior is most of the time the big damage dealer for that team. After the Tuskens, we moved into the Cal Kestis phase of 2023, starting with Baby Cal, as they say, the online Force user Cal Kestis. He's just a really strong supporting cast member, whether it's on his main team Seer or on Galactic Legend Ray. Just another instance of CG designing a character for one purpose and then it gets used for another purpose. He's just amazing. If you put him on a full online Force user team under Ray, they're super hard to kill, even way harder than before. And it's just really frustrating. You need insane damage to get through them. Also started an interesting concept with kits where you want it to be slower, and I do like that concept. It's not a complete concept, like they don't always want to be slow. There's some benefits, but in the long run, they do want to take turns. Except Baby Cal, he doesn't really care too much about turns, which means it's a lot easier to mod him. So he's just an awesome character. You could probably argue he goes even higher, because in the mid A tier, I have the leader, Seer. And I think she makes the whole team run. She's obviously the leader. But also her saber throw is just, I think it's a little underrated. I mean, it's just insane. Like when I'm facing a Ray team with Malicos, it's almost always a insta-kill when I get around to it. Her leadership is just overpowered in a lot of ways. Grand Arena, just amazing. And even in TW, you still get use when you have the full team there. And crazy stat boost if she's going slower. So I thought she was mid A tier. I contemplated making Cal higher than her or lowering her, but I stuck with this just because in the end you can make a team work without Cal, like a Seer team work, but you can't make it work obviously without the leader. Next we have a Conquest unit, Admiral Trench, and I don't think he's complete trash or anything. He's the lower end of the C tier. I personally have not gotten much use from him. That really at all. I mean, I did apply his Omicron even, but I applied it at the wrong time because it's hard to find actual good teams that he's suited to take out. Like he can beat Ray teams, but the Ray comps are getting so good that he's having struggles there. But they get really, really fast when you get things up and running with extortion and all the text everywhere. So he's pretty strong. I think he's a good banner sealing team on defense. Great Galactic Legend cleanup team, like actually just phenomenal. It's like his specialty because of the shock, the assists, ability blocks that are out there, turn meter, game speed. It's a lot of stuff. So he's not completely terrible. Bottom of C tier for Admiral Trench. Next we got Marin, going back to the Cal Marquise. She is high B tier for me. Borderline A tier. She can beat Java teams, although it requires a very high skill in modding requirement that I have not been courageous enough to try myself. But even outside of that one specific counter, pretty strong. Like if there's a team where you know they're going to do big damage, you know they're going to kill you, you want to use Marin with Night Sisters because they can come out on top and get full banners now. Night Sisters used to be a terrible offensive team in Grand Arena, but now you can almost always, if you're winning the battle, get full protection. I recently used them to crush Commander Luke Skywalker. She's one of the only reliable counters to like set up beating Keller and Beck in TW, even with its Omicron. So a really strong character there, really annoying to deal with, and you don't need a single drop of speed on her. Next we got Tarful. And I put him at the top of the C tier. I don't plan on giving him much love with relics or Zetas or anything because I think he's kind of gotten passed by. Unless there's a Datacron propping him up, he's pretty easy to deal with just with Bad Batch or something else like old teams. China Rev. I mean, he's a legendary, but he's still pretty strong in relative terms. If you plopped him into like a tier of Grand Arena like Chromium or Rhodium where they don't have all the stuff to deal with them, it would be pretty challenging and annoying. So interesting concept, defense to offense. He really did make that Wookiee team strong overall. And he could have more value if in TB his mission, specialized mission, was a special mission and not a combat mission, because then there would be a compelling point to getting his whole team up to Relic 7. And next we have Saw Gerrera, the last Jedi Cal Marquis, and I think Saw is amazing. I don't get when people say he's terrible. He is so good. I mean, Rebel Fighter faction is a faction that's really come into its own. Even before we had these crazy Trute Imwe and Bodhi Rook datacrons, he was really annoying. I mean, there's Bit Dynasty had a video, and he told me in my Discord server before that video that he lost with Starkiller in 3v3. Like, people just underestimate him. He increases cooldowns. He's really hard to kill. Keeps his team propped up, and like they have a great stacking mechanism with their health being under 100%, 100% and healing back up with the heal over times. I think the main problem is people didn't have like Baze, Malbus, and Tarut geared up and relicked when he came around, and he really wants them to shine. But then you put other great characters like Cara Dune and Kyle Katarn, and even Captain Rex, and the team really just soars. So I think he is fantastic. Low A tier for him. And then the lead up for all these marquees, Jedi Cal, definitely S tier character. He's amazing. I am so happy that I have him now. If you don't have him, you're really missing out. Just one of the funnest characters out there, and really powerful. I mean, you slot him. It's kind of sad that the Jedi, at least where I play in the game, the late game, High Kyber 1, you mainly, a lot of times in 5v5, just create one super team under Jedi Master Luke. But that team is really compelling, really strong. This guy does everything. Cleansing, armor shred, assisting, like turn meter swapping, insta-kill, reduces damage from the other team, gives out buffs. He is just insane, and he has riposte. Like, he is a living Swiss Army knife, just incredible character. Super good, high mid S tier for him, and it really says something that there are 3 characters above him from this year. It was a crazy year. And after the Jedi Cal phase of 2023, we moved into the Leviathan phase, starting with TIE Dagger, or TIE Dorito as it is affectionately called. Maybe it's not affectionately, I don't know. I put it in C tier. Among the ships, I mean, it's not that impressive. I mean, it definitely fits very well into a Leviathan team, and it very much does not really do much outside of that. Even then, it's not like it's crazy damage. It does assist here and there, and it can hit under protection, which is nice, but among that team, it's one of the less compelling new ships that came into that fleet. So I don't know, I won't talk too much more about it. Just C tier, middle of the pack. But after that, we got the Mark 6, and I'm putting this in B tier just because it takes a while to get going. I mean, it has to be your second reinforcement. Maybe it should be A tier, I don't know. Among all ships, it is probably an A tier or S tier ship, but in this tier list, it was pretty crowded at the top. Maybe it belongs in A, I don't know. But the insta-kill is the main compelling thing about it, and it's impossible to kill. You can't insta-kill it, and it takes forever to kill with all its stacks. It's one of the most durable ships in the game, so maybe I did slide it by putting it in B tier. I don't know, but I'm not going to change it now. Just comment and complain if you'd like. After that, breaking up the ships, we had Captain Rex, and this was just a wrecking ball of a release. I mean, Captain Rex to the Phoenix just turned them into... They went from laughing stock to legitimate, like, I don't know, powerhouse team. Like, they are, unless there's a datacron that shuts them down specifically, the best counter to Riva in Grand Arena and Territory War. Just ridiculously easy, rolls over them in the right setup. They were beating Lord Vader. That was requiring datacrons from them. But just... yeah, I don't know. They just get going and they never stop. They particularly work well against Inquisitors because they're always getting debuffed, and that generates turn meter for them. But I've been using this guy in the early game, and he is just amazing, a game changer. Accessible very early on because he's on a low-level node, and he has just made Galactic War a breeze on that account. Just been autoing all day. AoE days, offense down. What does he do on the AoE? Tenacity down, days, offense down, I think, on them, and then you get offense up and crit chance up. It's just overpowered, stacked moves from him. And plus his tags, Clone Trooper, Rebel Fighter, Phoenix. You can put him anywhere. You can put him on Saw, put him on Gas 501st team, even though he ruins the 501st synergy a little bit. And then, of course, Phoenix. He's just an incredible character. So high A tier, and that really says a lot about how many great characters you have for him not to be S tier. After that, we have Fury, and this really is the engine of that Leviathan team. I think if you take it out, it's the only thing you can't take out of the starting lineup. Like, people run all kinds of lineups. They don't use Dorito, they even don't use Sith Bomber, the tank, but you always have the Fury class Interceptor. Provides tons of survivability, lots of different debuffs that go out, extra lives for itself and the Bomber. Just really strong ship, healing, and like if you try like facing a Leviathan without it, it's a much easier process. And if you try using it with it, if you try using it without it, you're gonna really notice the difference. It's sad that it is locked behind a conquest character, and it is itself a conquest ship. So it's gonna take forever to actually get there for newer players, but such is life. And after that, we moved on to the Leia phase of 2023, starting with Princess Nisa, and I put her in the D tier. I am not a huge fan. I mean, of Ewoks. It's a team I don't think is worth prioritizing, really. I mean, yes, they can do some good stuff. They really got propped up by a Datacron, and I'm glad I didn't invest more resources into them before then. She is nice in the speeder bike rate, but that's not going to last forever. It's going to be like the Tuskens, like losing their viability in one area of the game in a few months. So they're on a clock, they're on a timer for their viability, and I don't know. I just like there's a reason they're requiring us to use Ewoks for every conquest. It's because they know people don't have them, and it's harder to win with. I don't know. Sorry, Gerbil. I'm not a fan of Ewoks. Well, I guess it wasn't quite the start of the Leia part of 2023, because after Nisa we got Leviathan, and I mean, what are you gonna say? It's the best capital ship in the game right now because it has to be. The newest big capital ship has to be the best, so that's how it is. I don't particularly love Leviathan. I don't like how it works. That you only use the specials once. Then after that, and the ultimate's just basics. They are kind of overpowered specials, so it makes sense that you can't use those particular ones more than once. But I don't like the ship design of making it so you can only use a special twice, because the battles do drag out. Like, especially in a mirror, pick over one ship, it's just annoying. It's like, oh, I get to take a turn with this ship I stole. What I'm gonna do? A basic? Oh, great. It's just kind of weird. It's like they win, but it's like very slow. There's 2 insta kills in it. Like, one is just through the ability of the capital ship, and then the other is through Mark 6. And I don't know. I mean, yes, it wins, but it was struggling at first. Yeah, and then until you get it to 7 stars, it can lose to stuff easily, like Profundity and Negotiator. So I don't love the ship design. It's like you have to use 20,000 or so crystals to actually get it to 7 stars. Nah, not a fan, but it is still S tier. It's top. Next, we have Scout Trooper, middle C tier. This is continuing the Leia Marquise, and I mean, Scout's really solid. Like, it's kind of weird to put him in C, or her in C, because she is really strong. I mean, especially on the Dark Trooper Moff Gideon team now, but she is just a supporting cast member. I don't know. Maybe this is the wrong place to put her, actually. She got the Omicron for the raid. That's not going to last forever. She's a good raid character. Stacks damage a lot, so actually I think I put her in the wrong place. So people that just watch at the end of the video and just look at the picture of the tier list are going to miss me saying that. It's inevitable, but yeah, my bad. Next we got Drogon, and he is a very strong supporting cast member to Leia. Also is kind of useful if you put him with Saw, or people were using with Commander Luke when he got his bonus turn from a Datacron. But I think this is probably appropriate where he sits. I mean, he is amazing on the Leia team, but it is a Galactic Legend Leia. She's the main driver of the team. He is kind of useful in the Saw special mission on was it Kashyyyk in Territory Battle? Like, I've got won that a few times using him because you need Relic 7s, and he's great there. Lots of damage, and yeah, his disability is not getting in the way where that is concerned. And next we have the woman herself, Galactic Legend Leia, top of S tier, of course. I mean, best character in the game, arguably. It's kind of tough. It's like, I mean, I would still argue she's the best Galactic Legend in the game. Very valuable across pretty much any game mode. Jabba maybe ever beat in like Territory Battle or something. But every Galactic Legend has their different strength. Um, she was like borderline overpowered for a few months with her specific Datacron and Drogon, and it was like it was the puzzle of the quarter to like figure out how to deal with that, and I had fun figuring that out with Giant Master Luke, Supreme Lord Kylo and Malako, stuff like that. But she's just really strong, and she's one of the galactic legends where I feel like no matter who I really take with her as a supporting cast, as long as she has like R2 and Drogon in there, like they're gonna get it done. I mean, even if you use some kind of leftovers, rebels, like you use Cassian, and he's not like the worst, but in TV, and yeah, they just stack mastery, stack their damage, and fit in pretty well. And her ultimate is one of the best out there. So awesome galactic legend, Leia. And I just mentioned his name, but next we had our next Conquest character after Leia. We got Terran Malicos, and it was just in time to help beat Leia in 3v3. This guy, I put him just over Cal because he is just incredible. He is the rock smasher, throwing those rocks, so much damage, eats Rey for breakfast, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, just, I don't know. It's just the damage, and it's actually not just the damage. I mean, there's so many things in the kit that are so annoying. Like, I tried to use a Reva team on a Malicos team in TW. Like, you'd think, okay, that works easily, right? But he just flips deep, like, he flips healing immunity into damage immunity. He flips daze into something else. Just really, just strong, really complicated kit. Like, basically a leadership in his uniques with all the bonuses he gives to online force users. Hard to kill under the Steer team, which is where I think he's used. I'm so glad he does not belong with a Lord Vader team or on like a Maul team or something. It's a Seer team. So awesome character. I am a huge fan of him. Love using him. Awesome on defense, on offense. Pretty fun in TB, good in TW, even though he's a Grand Arena character first and foremost. So amazing, Terran Malicos. And then next we have another ship, which was what I would say a game changer. This is the Marauder. It took the, again, it was designed for endurance, but people took it, used it with Negotiator, and Negotiator was already great, and this elevated it. You can beat pretty much any fleet with it if you really make it work right. Executor is the most reliable by and large. Profundity has some issues, but you can beat it. Leviathan, it's pretty low chance, but it's at least going to set you up for a nice two-shot. Just a crazy ship, and like it made me rewrite my whole free-to-play farming guide, farming plan, and even got me so excited to actually be crazy and start a new account in 2024 with all these stupid Lightspeed bundles flying everywhere, which I don't have access to. And it's all about the Marauder. I feel like Negotiator with Marauder rivals Executor in terms of value. So really just a complete game-changing ship there. S tier. I do have it right below TIE Defender. But that's just because TIE Defender is so crazy and like lifts up otherwise more or less obscure teams at this point and makes them kill stuff. But Marauder and TIE Defender are just something different. Now for the last leg of 2023, the Bo-Katan leg, starting with Paz Vizsla. And I will confess I am more or less ignorant to some of these characters. I haven't got to use them in any real capacity, but I do think Paz Vizsla is one of the stronger ones. Putting him in lower C tier now, really needs Bo. I don't know where he fits. Other than that, I am probably underrating him though. I do love how tanky he is in the bonus turn. He actually does great damage. So yes, I will admit to not knowing what to do with him. I have him actually at Relic 7, but can't really use him. IG-12, same thing. I am pretty ignorant. I don't know what you do with him unless you have Bo-Katan, so I just lazily slot him into the D tier. By the way, I switched purple and yellow. I normally had yellow as C tier, but I just kept thinking purple is cooler than yellow. Like, it's Mace Windu's lightsaber, so I just swapped it. Next, we have Kelleran Beck, and I do have a little bit of experience going against him at least, and he is amazing. In TW with his Omicron, particularly, really hard to kill unless you bring in a GL, turns off his Omicron. Night Sisters can kind of do it with Marin here, really helps out. But he's just ridiculous, and TW just insane. And I try to like do these rankings based off like their overall place in the game. So if they're only good in TW or only good in Grand Arena, it definitely hurts. But he is not only good in TW. He is pretty solid in Grand Arena as well. You can either replace Qui-Gon with him or put him on a Qui-Gon team. But tons of survivability and extra damage for the team. I'm looking forward to using him. I wish he came out as the first marquee instead of like Paz RIG-12. So I would have him now, or instead of Paz, I guess. But he's like the most useful one that I want and will help me even without Bo-Katan, but I don't have her. And speaking of her, we have her in the S tier, close to the border of ships. I mean, her Datacron is really skewing her upward, so I'm trying to rate her aside from that. But she is S tier because she does lead a team that counters Galactic Legend reliably, and Lord Vader. Right now, she just rips him to shreds. Could beat JMK even before the Datacron. Her Omicrons make that work in Grand Arena. Not sure what she's going to do outside of it. And again, I don't have hands-on experience with her, so I don't have a perfect evaluation. But I do think she at least merits S tier. And then for the final character is one I do have great experience with. Both fear as an opponent of it and joy as using it. Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. And this is one of those characters that has TW Omicrons, but is amazing even without them. He is amazing in Grand Arena. It's like you don't even miss it. And he gets elevated even higher in TW. So I put him above Bo-Katan Mandalore, but below like Cal and Malicos. It's just when you start seeing a Jabba team or another team that gets a lot of TM do 1 damage to you, and then they take hundreds of thousands of damage, it's just something different. A lot of tags, or he doesn't have a lot of tags, but his team does. Imperial Remnant and Empire, mainly for him. But it's super durable. I mean, he gets 100% crit avoidance granted to him, so he's basically immune to crits, unless you stack your mastery really high. It revives everyone, he has revived himself. He's just a juggernaut, and he looks like a juggernaut too. So his kit, his ability matches his appearance. Just an amazing character, and it's so cool. Kind of had a disappointing showing in the actual show he's in, but amazing character in this game. And that's it. That's the whole tier list. I already have some things I'd probably change. I think Paz Vizsla, I may have slated him in Scout Trooper, but it's a tough list. It's tough to sort through all these characters. But what I will say is 2023 was one of the most impactful years as far as new releases. Everything in here is amazing, basically. And there's tons of it. There's over 25 characters and ships, units altogether. So we'll see if 2024 tops it. I mean, we're starting out with Gungans. I don't know what they're going to look like at the end, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.